Okay, welcome to the June 15th Thursday chat. We have a fairly busy time, and the third plus report and discussion will come at the very end of our presentations. We have a few announcements. We'll start with Roz Holt.
So I'm going to read what I wrote because it's easier for me to do that. And then you can ask me any questions. Since there are so many new members that have moved into Newbridge, we would like to start a new committee in the library. Karen Dresser needs help in organizing the library again. She also needs someone to back her up if she is unable to do the jobs that she does there. We need residents to help her pick out new books. Since I have been the treasurer for 14 years, it is time for me to retire. So we will need a new treasurer. We need someone to help residents enter books in the computer. So if you are interested in joining this committee, you can call Karen Dresser. I'll give you her phone number, but I'm sure you can look it up, 42207. The library is very important to our community. Faye Busking has worked in it, and we worked very hard in the last 14 years to get the library together. So we need help in starting a new committee. There are so many new members that have moved into Newbridge. So I'm hoping some of them will volunteer and call Karen if you're interested in joining the committee. If you have any questions, just ask me and I'll try to answer them.
Okay. Thank you very much. Paul Hardeman. Paul, I saw you there.
Here I am.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. I'm here today as a representative of the Finance Committee, as you can see. I would like to announce that the committee is seeking applications from residents who wish to become members of the Finance Committee. The committee would like to add at least 5 new members. Several are replacements for vacancies. The balance is a result of a desire to expand the size of the committee. The terms of membership will be for a 3-year term. And in terms of time commitment, it is not onerous. The meeting schedule is really determined by the timing and issuance of financial information by Newbridge, which is discussed in detail and reviewed by the committee. Occasionally other issues come up that have a financial impact on residents, and meetings are called because of that. But overall, it is not a burdensome obligation. As to qualifications, I'd like to really put to bed the idea that you have to have a heavy financial background to be a member. That's really not the case. There's enough people that would be on the committee that can handle the more sophisticated stuff. But I think some familiarity with budgetary basics is adequate. For example, being familiar with a household budget would be a minimum and a good background. The application process we've designed is pretty straightforward. Candidates must be a resident for at least 3 years. And we ask that a candidate submit a statement just outlining their qualifications and also the reasons that they would like to become a member of the committee. And those statements should be submitted to me by July 15th. And again, Paul Hardeman at Cottage 19, or you can find me in our new Touchtown app. The chairperson or me and a 3-person subcommittee will review these statements And we'll determine who's appropriate, and we'll recommend those names to the full committee for approval. New members would be notified in September, and they will begin their term on October 1st. And that is coincident with the beginning of the fiscal year of Newbridge. I am sending out an email with more detail after this meeting. And also there'll be some hard copy at Joe Zagalis's desk. And I look forward to receiving a number of applications there. Over the past several months, there have been a number of inquiries as to how people can join the committee. And now we have an open window. Jerry, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And I'm happy if we have any questions.
We have a question from Charlie Small. Go ahead.
Hey, Charlie.
Hi, Paul. I want to make sure I didn't mishear you. Did you say you have to be a resident for 3 years here?
Oh, no. 1 year residency, and the term of the new members will be 3 years.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, and thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Marlene Yesley.
I want to remind people that tomorrow is the Scholarship Awards ceremony at 2:00 in Great Meadow Hall. You've all been extremely generous this year. Please come and see who is going to have the benefits of your generosity. 2:00. We have good refreshments at the end also.
Thank you. Okay, Jessica Coleman.
Thanks, Jerry. I just wanted everyone to know that on Tuesday, June 20th at 2:30 in the library room, I will be holding a dog owners meeting. So I'm hoping to get as many of the dog owners as I can so that we can review policy, gather feedback, and really just get to meet one another since a lot of new members have moved in with dogs. So if you are a dog owner, I hope to see you on Tuesday.
Okay. And now Chef Eileen. I don't see you listed, but I know I have you down to speak while Josh is away, or maybe longer. Eileen? Lynette, do you know anything about Chef Eileen being available?
I do.
Jerry, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
Chef Eileen's at a training right now in Roslindale, so I'm imagining that she's either having a hard time finding a computer or a hard time getting out of her class.
Hi, Matt. I just got here. Traffic is terrible.
Oh, there she is. Okay, so perfect timing, right on the dot, Chef.
Go ahead. You're up. You're up, Eileen.
I am up. Okay, so just a few things. We have to talk about the luau for next Wednesday. I know there was a little bit of miscommunication about the dining venues. So we are opened in Centro for buffet between 5 and 7:30. Obviously, we still have the luau, which we hope you're all coming to because there's entertainment there as well. And also we have the deli in the Nosh open till 6 p.m. So first of all, I want to apologize because we had a little bit of confusion on what was opened and what was not. So the next event, we'll definitely clean it up and we'll have it more clear for you guys. But this is kind of one of the big events that we used to do all the time and that we are looking forward to kind of starting back up again. So we are a little rusty, but we will get there. And sometimes you kind of have to make mistakes to make things work better for the next time. So anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you on the luau. And then also we have the wind down on Monday night. And the wind down is in honor of Lou Wolf, who's going to be there. And we are going, normally we would have the wind down in the Winter Garden, but we are moving it to Great Meadow Hall. Just because we're hoping some employees will come as well as the residents. So we're going to have a couple of little bits and pieces, wine and cheese, little sliders, stuff like that, just to have just to celebrate Lou and all he has done. I think it's well deserved.
Okay, we have a question from Stan Treitman.
Yeah, I was wondering, those of us who want to have takeout or have the meal delivered next Wednesday, where will we find the menus? I understand. Well, anyways, that's a question. Where will the menus be for the takeout or the delivery?
The menu will be the always on menu, and we can have it up by Joe's desk, and we can send it out to you as well the morning of if you'd like, but it's the always on menu
I understand her.
for
Okay.
Central, yeah.
Okay, Phil Hirsch and then Frank Backner.
Where is the luau? Where
So
will
the
it take
luau-
place?
So it'll take place, well, now, fingers crossed. It's supposed to take place outside of Nosh, you know, the patio area there.
Outside of Nash, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea was to do kosher and non-kosher and just kind of have it, you know, together, whoever wants squash, whatever. But if it rains, it's going to have to be in Great Meadow Hall. So we will let you know on the day, but the plan is to be outside by Nosh.
And when you say a luau, what does that represent? Is it just a buffet? Is it a barbecue? I mean, what do you really mean by that?
So we have appetizers. So we have appetizers first, and then we're going to do kind of side type of a family style. Because we kind of want to use that area out there, we are looking at our limitations. We can't do a buffet because there's not enough space to kind of have residents walk up and walk through a buffet. So we're going to do a family style. So that will mean that we'll lay out the salads for you guys and rolls and stuff like that for the appetizers. And then for the entrees, we're kind of going to do like a French service. Would you like the fish or would you like the beef and stuff? And then we will put the sides on the table so you can kind of help yourselves. And then for desserts, the same way.
Okay, thank you, Frank Backner. We have to unmute you. Go ahead now, Frank.
What are the hours of the luau?
So I believe we start at 4:45 for the appetizers. And then around 5:45, 6 o'clock, we're hoping to do the entrees. And the reason for that is because most of all of our residents like the 6 o'clock hour for their meals. So we kind of geared it around that time.
Okay, I think that covers it, and we can move on to you, Matt.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing great. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. It's actually one of my favorite days to be part of Newbridge because it's the scholarship ceremony. It's just amazing. I mean, all of you together contributing to the future of not only of our employees, but our society. It's, I don't know, it's really moving and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be part of it. I'm excited for our employees and I'm eternally grateful to all of you. So I hope to see many of you there tomorrow. It's going to be just absolutely incredible. And a big thank you to the scholarship committee because they moved their original date because I couldn't be there. So I don't think I've ever had anybody move something because I couldn't be there. So first of all, thank you. That's a first for me. And second of all, I'm just greatly appreciative. I know how much work it is to set up these events. And yeah, thank you. I very much appreciate it. Let's jump to the topic that never ever goes away, COVID-19. Good news, there are no changes from last week. We do not have any cases on campus. Here in Massachusetts, there continues to be 5 cases per 100,000 individuals. And in our county, there's 3.6 cases per 100,000 individuals. So from a risk tolerance standpoint, the risk is still fairly low right now. So get outside, enjoy yourself, have a good summer. I think we're in a great place. Masks are off, and we're not seeing an uptick at this time. We're going to continue to monitor this on a weekly basis just to make sure we always stay ahead of it, because for all of us that have lived through COVID, we're never doing that again. So COVID wise, we're doing just fine. Chef mentioned the wind down for Lou. We will have some folks from the teams at long-term care, home and community-based services, assisted living. Everybody's been basically invited to come enjoy this wind down, and it's going to be an elevated appetizer menu. I'll also have a microphone out, so if anybody wants to say a few words to Lou, they'll be welcome to do so. For those of you that don't know Lou, he's our president and CEO, and Lou has done an absolutely incredible job with Hebrew Senior Life. Lou instilled the culture in our organization that we do whatever it takes to take care of everyone. End of story. He made this a top place to work. And I can say personally, whenever I've had a challenge, I've been able to pick up the phone and just call Lou and talk to him like a friend. And how many people get to say that about a CEO? So I'm looking forward to celebrating him as well. And I hope to see many of you there. If you're like me, when you pulled on campus the last couple of days, you saw these giant tree tech trucks right there on Great Meadow Road. And you might be wondering, you know, obviously they're taking down trees, but what are they doing? And so I asked the same question, and I figured I'd share with you, because if I'm curious, I figure you're probably curious. They are taking down dead trees, and they're pine trees. And one was located by the president's house. Another one was across from 28 Newbridge Way, and one was near the access road. So that's what Tree Tech is doing, taking down dead pine trees, just making sure the campus stays as in best shape possible. Any questions so far?
No.
I realize I'm kind of going rapid fire because we have a really special guest with us today. And then I just want to take a moment to say to all the fathers, happy Father's Day. I don't plan on being here on Sunday to see you face to face, so I'm going to take this opportunity to say happy Father's Day. I hope it's a very special day. I'm going to do as little as possible, and I hope you get to do whatever makes you happy. So, but that's my plan. And other than that, I just want to open it up for general questions for just a couple minutes before we move over to our special guest.
Okay, are there any questions? I don't see any, Matt.
Question. Oh,
Oh, see one hand up.
it's me. I forgot to set up. Matt, are we going to be able to have guests in the dining room?
That's a great question. Hopefully, Roz, sooner than later. The reality is I need to connect with the culinary team as a whole and understand if there are any barriers to doing so at this point. If there are no barriers, we're going to have guests in the dining room very soon. I'll put that on my list to talk with them about next Wednesday when I meet with them.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate that question.
So I guess we're ready for our special guest.
Absolutely. Okay. So with us today, who just arrived and they're ready to jump right into action with us, is Scott Daniels. And you'll see that he is in the Shapiro boardroom, and Cynthia Kruver. They are from Third Plus, and they've been helping us with this dining elevation program. They've done an exorbitant amount of work with us behind the scenes. And we've talked about this so much over the last couple months. I thought it would be nice to hear from somebody that's not me, that's not Josh, and can give you their perspective on the work that we've done, what we've completed, where we're going, and the things we still need to figure out. So with that, I'd like to introduce Scott Daniels. Scott, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jerry, for hosting us. And good afternoon, everyone. Cynthia and I from Third Plus, we're here with a team from Third Plus back in the fall to do a complete dining evaluation. I'm sure most of you know that, and that was communicated out. We did an extensive report back to Matt and the dining team. They spent time going over that, and they've done a fair amount of work behind the scenes with us, as we call low-hanging fruit, simple fixes. And then just last month, Matt and team went into an agreement with us to help elevate the dining. So what I'd like to talk about first, briefly, is what the dining team here has done since then. And then I want to go into what kind of the elevation and what we're going to be working on with them to enhance the dining. So since last fall, the dining team, has been working on foundations, as Matt said, building the infrastructure. So far, what's happened, they've separated the kitchen operations where skilled nursing is now not under the oversight of Josh and team and Eileen. That's been, obviously change isn't always smooth. There's been challenges there, but it is going smoothly now, which allows for Chef Eileen and team to spend more time focusing on the independent dining offer. New lunch menu has recently gone out. Copper Beach and Centro. We'll spend time talking about Centro. Challenges with Centro that we were aware of when we came. Spent time. One of the recommendations was to in short term, do an offer in Copper Beach to help lighten the obstacles of reservations, seating times, speed of service, and such. And we hear that is going very well. Patrick, the chef in Centro now, is spending his time during service expediting. And expediting means he's that last person touching the plates before they go into the dining room. So if there are things that need to be addressed, corrected, or adjusted, he can do that prior. That limits the number of challenges or concerns in the dining room. Doesn't always eliminate them when food comes to the table, but it's a big stride forward. I want to get into the dining tools now. What we're going to work with to help elevate the team with. Again, we're here this afternoon. We just arrived about an hour ago. We're here this afternoon and tomorrow, and we were hoping to get the whole process started much quicker. Josh is out, as you all know, so it's just been pushed back a little bit, but that doesn't mean we're not working behind the scenes to get things done. I will be spending a week here, probably myself and one of my team members, as soon as Josh returns. We've got dates blocked off, pending his return. And that's where we're going to start the elevation. We're going to come in. We've already done evaluations. We're going to do some minor reevaluations, obviously, things that have changed. And kind of what we're going to be working on. And I'll go high level, and then we'll open it up for questions. We're going to look at the strategy. We're going to create a strategy that works.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. It's just I'm getting reports that the audio isn't as clear. So I just want to make sure that everyone can hear. Can we just is the audio a little low?
Pin this.
Well, Ned, I can hear you pretty clearly.
You're coming through as far as I'm concerned. Is there anyone wave your hand that doesn't hear well?
I saw it in the notes. Okay, that's what. Okay.
I think we're all right. Go ahead.
All right, I'm as close as I can get to the speaker. So, and my voice is pretty loud, so I thought it might be too loud versus too low. So we're going to finalize that first week, the process, the strategy, and there'll be communications out. Part of what we're working on and we've been working on for the past several months, is a communication strategy for the whole community with regard to dining, interfacing with your new Touchdown system and communications, because we know that communications have been a challenge with dining, and you'll see more to come. There will be a dining website that will be accessed on your end through Touchdown, which will have a lot of great resources, tools. There'll be fun things as well, recipes. There'll be team introductions, so routinely changing who the different team members are. Most of you know the key players, but we want to really involve the entire dining team in your dining experience. Part of the process will be looking at and evaluating your current meal plan, your point system. I know it's very confusing to a lot of you, and what you get for your points, how do you get extra points. We're going to be working with the finance department and evaluating that and making recommendations. I can't speak to what they are because we haven't dived into that aspect yet. But at the end of the day, we're truly trying to make the dining experience for all the residents more pleasurable, not just on the food side, but on the entire experience side. We're going to be working with the team on scheduling, staffing reviews, making sure the right people are in the right places, making sure the right team, what I call the Apollo 13, putting the right team together. They didn't get back to Earth without the right team. We want to make sure we have the right team in place. So we'll be evaluating on a deeper dive. working on menu reviews, pricing strategies. Again, we're trying to build that. So we know that currently some of the menu pricing doesn't make sense to some of you. We had some of the same questions. So we're going to be working with the dining team to evaluate the pricing structure and look at how that looks moving forward. Again, with the benefit, breaking things up so it benefits the residents. Front of house training, we realize that training is key. We're going to be building a front of house dining training program as well as back of house. So that'll, be to come. You will all be communicated with when the strategy is done. Matt will be communicating out so everybody understands timelines. We don't want to think that everybody's working in a vacuum. So 3 big things for me are timeframes, accountabilities, and measurable outcomes. So I think that obviously, if we're going to say we're going to do something in a certain time frame, we're going to make sure we commit to that, and we want to make sure that the outcomes are measurable and noticeable in a positive manner. Last but not least, working with Matt and team on a master plan. Matt's getting ready to put an RFP out for dining architects, because we're going to be looking at renovating and elevating the dining in Nosh. Treats. We want to be able to bring you, hopefully down the road, an additional dining venue to give you more variety and choices. RFP process, Matt's getting ready to start. We've made recommendations on dining architects and designers. We'll be working with them once that process is started. That is a capital plan, master planning process. So Matt can get the pricing on what this will cost for what we plan on, that Matt can then work on master planning. I want to be very clear that doesn't mean that you're going to have a brand new Nosh in 6 months. It's part of the planning. We're starting the process now, and if Matt needs to jump in, he can by all means. But that is forward progress, and we'll be sharing with you as that process starts. Cynthia, do you have anything to add?
No, did a great job.
Thank you. Matt, do you have anything to add to the master planning process?
Yeah, I mean, also in that process, we're looking at Centro. So the concept is to understand what the price tag would be to get the spaces that we really want here at Newbridge. And not just aesthetically pleasing spaces and quiet spaces, but spaces that are functionally designed for workflow, to make sure that our employees can be as productive as possible in the time that they're in the kitchen. Huge price tag. It's the kind of thing where I want to understand what that number looks like, so I can start building that money into our capital funds, whether it be next year, the year after, or maybe we piggyback it, meaning you spend some money at the end of one year, and then you spend more money at the beginning of the next. So it's the same project, but you get a little more funds to work with. And then we can start working that plan. I think the community as a whole knows how much of a planner I am. So this is me just taking on another thing that, I think we need to pay attention to, and starting the homework on this. And it's going to be quite a project. So I look forward to engaging a lot of you in conversations as we get there. But it's really, really important. And, this is Newbridge. We got to make sure this stays Newbridge. End of story. So
I think we'll get to some questions, Matt, if you're ready. So Carol Marlin, go ahead. You have to unmute, Carol. I'll do, okay.
So of course, this is an issue that's very important to all of us. And as I think most people would agree, that the bottom line to most people is the quality of the food we are served. And that's something that I know in some ways we've seen improvements. I think I mostly eat in Nosh, and I have in Copper Beach. I really think the fruit and salads have so improved, and I thank you very much. And I know you've rated the food here, and the quality is very high. And I really question that because, some of it is high, some of it is really disappointing. And one of the big disappointments, I think, is that we still have food that's, especially Nosh, that's high fructose corn syrup. I mean, that's something that for years we were told, we shouldn't eat that anymore. And it's part of our diet. It's part of what is served in the ice cream, served in the salad dressings. I just wonder what and how is the evaluation about the quality of food And that's my concern.
I think the word that didn't come through was high fructose.
Right,
Yes.
high fructose corn syrup, yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to answer that, Scott?
Sure, I can address that, Jerry. Ms. Marlin, I agree with you on high fructose corn syrup. We've made that recommendation. And I'm not trying to blame or push fingers on others. That's something that we'll work with them on helping them. And there's a way you change. So I know that has to do predominantly with your ice cream selections. Our recommendations, and we'll help them with doing what we call food cuttings, where you want to bring in a new ice cream, that's the goal that everybody agrees to, or the majority, that will bring in different products and do cuttings. And to me, I am a strong proponent that residents should be involved in big changes like that. They should be, obviously the need of every resident, because I know ice cream is passionate. Every resident has a different favorite, and we'll never be able to have, the one that meets everybody's needs. But we've heard the high fructose corn syrup many times, so I agree with you.
And that's also the salad dressings.
Correct. The other areas that we in our report, we said that with your, and I'll break it up into kosher and non-kosher. Your kosher foods that you guys are purchasing are kosher foods, and we just came from the Association of Jewish Aging Services CEO conference the past 2 days, and all of them are complaining about food quality in their communities. Many self-op. Well, on the kosher side, we are so limited in this country on wholesale kosher meat products, protein products. There are very few vendors across the country, and everything you get is frozen, and it's not of the best quality. That is a struggle that every kosher community is facing. It's tied to supply and demand, and many of you that grew up in kosher homes, you had kosher butchers on your corners, and the percentages were much higher. Everything comes in frozen now from the vendors with regard to kosher meats and poultries, and it's not the best, I'll be honest with you. And that's a struggle. On the non-kosher side, the foods that are procured, I can tell you everything from the week we spent here, I did not see a substandard item in the community. Now, to your question with regard to high fructose corn syrups and salad dressings, yes, they are purchasing some of their salad dressings, not all. This is a very large community, and I know Chef Eileen's goal would be to do everything from scratch in a perfect world, but with the staffing challenges and such, they do have to buy some items that are what we call convenience, and sometimes they are salad dressings.
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Okay.
We'll move on. Judy Goldman.
Scott, I'd like to know specifically what is being done about the reservation system. I have lived here for almost 8 years, and I'm not able to get reservations
Me either.
in Centro.
Can I clarify, when you say you're not able to get reservations, there are no reservations available, or no reservations available at the time that you would?
There are no reservations available except at 7:15, which is too late for my husband to eat.
Okay, so, and we've heard that concern in the past, and I'm gonna use an analogy of a restaurant. And what happens, Centro is undersized for your community. So part of the master planning that Matt and I spoke of, that includes Centro, because to me, Centro does not have enough seats to fulfill the number of residents that dine there. There's two parts to that. Number one, we're going to work on enhancing Nosh, so Nosh is more welcoming and inviting with better menus, so that more residents will go there, and it'll take some of the pressure off. Now, it's no different than if you go to a restaurant, your favorite restaurant, in a Greyhound bus, everybody wants to eat at 5:30 or 6:30 or whatever the time is. The only times, when there's full seatings, like if I call my favorite restaurant tonight for next Saturday night, they might tell me the only available seatings are at 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock, because all the prime, we'll call prime times, have been taken in advance. That is a challenge that you guys face here at Newbridge on the Charles, is everybody, or the vast majority of residents, want to eat in that same period of time, only leaving what we call shoulder times, the early or the late times open. We understand it. There's really your reservation system we're going to look at to try to look at how we can make advancements to make it easier, but that doesn't mean it's going to make more reservations available because there's only so many seats at a time. If let's just say they allow everybody to fill that dining room at one time, they could do that, but that would drastically diminish your speed of service, your food quality, because they would be making food in advance so they could get it out quickly. So that is a challenge. And the goal is, like I said earlier, we want to take treats. We're looking at treats and making that a dining venue, not a treat shop, but a dining venue. We're looking at redoing all of Nosh so it is a welcoming restaurant, so that we can divvy up the number of residents to multiple venues. So then that opens up reservation time so that there's more access to the key time or the prime time that you're speaking of, Ms. Goldman.
Well, I have heard this argument for years. We've never had this problem before. We have had a full complement of residents before. We've had help and sufficient help before, and we have never had this problem up until since COVID. And I would be happy to discuss it with you offline.
I will tell you that staffing wise, the dining server staff, they're fully staffed, so staffing is not an issue. But absolutely be more than happy to speak with you on our next visit.
And if I can just clarify, we went to a reservation system because we were putting out batch cooked food to the community all at once because everybody was showing up at once. And everybody was complaining that the quality of the food was lousy and the service was lousy and everybody was waiting. So the nature of that led us to a reservation system, which is now the creation of this problem. And when Josh unrolled the reservation system, everybody said, oh, this is not going to go over well. And for the most part, it went over pretty well, except for the challenges that people are getting pushed off to the shoulder times for reservations. So a little history and background about how we landed in the reservation space. And Scott's overall plan that he was talking about makes a lot of sense. If the pub is able to hold residents and produce some kind of a different menu, if Nosh is able to be appealing to everybody, and whether that's part of it's kosher and part of it's not, if treats become something different and we're able to also serve out of there, all of a sudden you're looking at 4 venues, which is going to spread out the demand across the campus. And then hopefully that reservation problem will go away.
We at one point, sorry, go ahead.
It's a
I'm
longer
sorry.
term problem, but
Yeah,
unfortunately, due to the constraints we have, it's the only solution right now at this moment to put out quality food. The good news is we have
I think we're not gonna solve this by further discussion. We got a lot of people waiting.
You're right, Jerry. Thank you.
Let's move on. Betsy Weissel.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Judy has said, we are snowbirds and we've never had a problem until we came back this year. We came back in May. And the biggest thing is we shouldn't have open it up to guests until you can take care of the people who are living here on campus. I mean, I just looked an hour ago out of curiosity, and next week, the earliest time I could get was 7:15. So, you know, I really think that we shouldn't let guests in until we can take care of the people who live here. I think it's a problem that needs to be solved. Everything you're doing sounds very exciting, but this is more immediate. Thank you.
Okay, Maya Fine.
So I have a question about when you're starting to do work in the capital area. Is part of that planning how dining will be handled when part of the areas are out of service due to construction?
Sure, Mr. Fine. Yes, part of the planning process is always involves temporary service. Obviously, with any renovation, I shouldn't say any, but with the vast majority of renovations, there is always some downtime in different locations. There will be absolute planning around offers, might be pop-ups. We call pop-ups, might be, depending on time of year, different venues that are short-term to provide meals for, yes. They're not going to shut down dining and not have food available and meals available to the residents.
Okay, Terry Union.
Comment. Many of us enjoy Copper Beach. It was a great idea to open up that space. You don't have to make a reservation. But one of the issues is the fact that the food, if you go there early, is fresh and good. If you come later, it's overcooked because it's sitting in those heaters and cooking the whole time that they're sitting there. So I don't know. And also the desserts are the same exact desserts every single time you eat there. Yeah, which is generally I'm eating there almost every night. So, and I know it's supposed to be a self-service place, but when trays need to replace because the food is gone or almost gone, there should be someone who checks those periodically to make sure that there's enough food there to serve everyone who wants to dine. Otherwise, it's a great venue. Thanks for creating it.
Ms. Union, I will definitely, that started when I wasn't here, we were here, but it started, I will take a look at that. From what you're sounding, I think the fixes are pretty easy to that, and I will address that with the team here and see what we can do.
I know you can take care of it.
Okay, good. Okay, we have Paul Chavinsky and then Bob Weinstein and then Elaine Elovitz. Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, my big problem with the food here is consistency. One week you'll get a dish that's delicious and you order the same dish when it comes around 2 weeks later and it's completely different and sometimes almost inedible. One of my favorite dishes is poached salmon.
Oh, we've lost your voice. Hold on, go back.
The hamburgers used to be the best hamburgers in the area. But now I notice they seem to have cut down on the size of the hamburger. I mean, I think there's just a change from week to week and month to month.
So, Mr. Chervinsky, a couple things. Consistency, yes, is critical. One thing we're working with the team on, Matt and the team, is a menu software platform that now, and I'll go back, but menu platform software that has nutritional. So number one, you'll see nutritionals. I know that wasn't part of the question, but that's addressed. Big thing is going to be training and recipe consistency. Obviously, and I'm the same as you. When I go to a restaurant, I expect the same dish to be the same every time I go. So we're going to be working with them, and you'll hear more about a new menu rollout that will, is coming, that hopefully will address some of the consistency challenges. But that is definitely, we're aware of that, and that is being addressed.
Okay, thank you. Bob Weinstein.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, Scott, there are two questions, two things. One is they created Copper Beach in the new venue and they displaced the community table where you were able to get the always on menu. I'd like to go to Copper Beach if I can get the always on menu or something plain. They don't tell us yet what's in the food, but I'd like to get food without sauce, without sugar. And in Copper Beach, you have to get it with everything on it. And the chef Patrick told me that he was able to create it, but he was overruled. He can't do that anymore. And I'd like you to have that. The second thing is about kosher meats. I put Joel, when he was here, in touch with a couple of purveyors in New York. And I'm sure they were set, and they couldn't come here legally for some reason, but they got another purveyor to come. And I think it's fresh meat. And if you go to the butchery in Brookline, they have fresh brisket, they have fresh steaks, they have fresh lamb chops. I don't know why you say kosher meat has to come in frozen. There's plenty of fresh kosher meat available.
So there is fresh kosher in this marketplace, but through regulations, they have to buy through licensed wholesale providers. And there's quantity availability that local butchers oftentimes can't supply. If you have a kosher supplier, please by all means share that with me and I'll have no problem looking in and researching that.
There is one. They have one now.
Okay, so if you get in touch with him tomorrow, Bob, and can give him and we'll give him the name and address offline here, he says he'll follow through.
They use them now, Jerry. The second thing is, what about the sauced meat meals in Copper Beach? I'd like him to address that.
I'll have to look into that. I don't have an answer. I'm not going to tell you something that I can't verify, but I will look into that and see what can be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Elaine Elevitz. No, wait a minute. You're muted. Go ahead now, Elaine.
Well, I am insensitive. I didn't speak to Bob Weinstein at all about this, so it comes quite as a surprise to me that he spoke to you about what I was concerned about. I had no idea he was going to mention it, but there are plenty of places where they have good kosher meat. I myself have a kosher home and have always served kosher food, and the caterers who have kosher meals, they are superb. They have all of our mitzvahs and weddings, and people rave about them. And I think that it's just a lack of effort and extending ourselves. And also when I heard for a moment that maybe the not would be divided between kosher and non-kosher, I think that's a terrible offense to us. Thank you.
Well, you broke up. I didn't hear what you said about the last.
They said that maybe the Nash would have to break up between kosher and not kosher. Unless
Elaine,
I
just
didn't
if I
hear.
can clarify,
What's that?
if I can clarify, we're going to explore all options. That's a lot of space down there. Just because that nosh space may still be kosher, there's that whole other side of the community center. It's a lot of space.
Well, that's another way of saying that it's not necessary to take care of us.
No, it's not.
I take
appreciate.
offense.
I hear your input, but that's not at all what I'm saying.
Well, let's see.
Okay, Zalman or Sandy August?
Yeah, I think that I have some contacts also for kosher. I'm very familiar with it. And at one time, I was really involved with kosher meat. So I would like to talk to you if I could, because I do think I have a couple suggestions.
More than happy to.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So Marilyn Stone.
Are you, excuse me, are you suggesting that Nash will not be just buffet, but will be able to order individual dinners?
So part of the exploration, Nosh right now, from an operational side, is broken. And what I mean by that is the way that it's set up behind the scenes, the kitchen is not meant to serve a la carte food or even retail food. It's just kind of it's been an operation that's been band-aided for many years. So part of our recommendations is that we look at renovating all of Nosh, creating a brand for Nosh that executes kosher meals well. Whether that be buffet or a la carte sit down is yet to be determined. It might be a combination of both, but that's, as Matt just said, that space down there is very, very large. We're going to look at options. Again, we're looking at options through the design and concepting phase to what can we provide. If we can provide more venues for the residents to dine in, kosher and non-kosher, both, that's a benefit to you. It gives you more variety and choice from a dining aspect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It seems like we don't have any more questions, Matt, but there were several people that we promised or suggested that you would talk to offline. Do you want to suggest a time for them to call you tomorrow while Scott is still here?
Well, I would say, please reach out to Lynette, and Lynette can take down your information. She'll connect with Scott. Scott and my schedule tomorrow, we're not glued to each other. We have some different things going on. So I'm not even sure what your schedule is, Scott, since you just got here straight off an airplane.
Well, we leave at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, I am in the food committee meeting at 9 to 10:30. So
10:30. to 11.
So 10:30,
To 11 would be a good window.
10:30 to 11, 11:30 would be the optimal time.
Okay, good. Anybody else with any questions?
I have a question.
Who, I don't see who you are. Wave your hand.
Can you hear?
Fading to
Just
see
a
who
moment.
Is,
Just a moment. Do you see me now?
is this Barcelay?
Yes, it is. Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's my question. I think part of is communication between the people that take the order and the people that prepare. It's more than once I've ordered salmon rare and it comes back well done. So I send it back. So now there is a piece of salmon that is wasted. I think the people who prepared should take attention to what has been written down so they can deliver the product requested.
No onion.
Same when we say no onions, get it anyway. So they should pay attention to the request what the order per person put down.
Okay, thank you. And Carol Mullen, you have to unmute, Carol.
I don't know. I'm having trouble doing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I'm trying. I
No,
can't do
you're
it.
all set. Just say your question.
Okay, can you hear me? You can hear me? Yeah? Yes. Okay, I just want you to clarify, like even the luau, to say there's kosher and non-kosher, do people sit at the same table? And you really think you can keep kosher and non-kosher? That's really, really precarious. You know, for people who care about something being kosher, that's, you know, to say to someone, well, you don't have kosher food, you really can't sit here. I mean, it really gets very, how are you going to segregate that? That's really, to me, seems like a very difficult proposition if it's in the same space.
Eileen, do you want to just explain what you meant when you said that?
So for instance, the appetizers and the salads are going to be made in the kosher kitchen. So they're going to be all kosher. And then for the entrees, we will have separate platters for kosher and non-kosher. And the sides are going to be made from the kosher kitchen. And then we have separate platters for the desserts, and the fruit will be made from the kosher kitchen. While our plan was to try and, you know, community is important and have everyone sitting together who has that choice.
So, Carol, go ahead. We can't hear you, Carol.
Get to my space again. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Can't do it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I still think, Eileen, it's very difficult. If someone is sitting with kosher and right next is not kosher, how you keep the silverware and the dishes, and it really is compromising, and you know, the plates are what you're suggesting is something I don't think is going to work and stay kosher to most of us who care about things being really kosher. And I don't see how, you know, how people, it's just difficult. I just don't think having the entrees and it all being mixed up, you're going to do it. I just think it's too difficult keeping that all straight with the dishes and everything. I'm very leery of that. I don't think any kosher person who's keeping the mishkiach or anything would accept that and say that's good, that's fine. I've never seen that done anywhere in a public place like this. So I just don't see how you do it. I think it's a very bad policy. Okay, if you really and truly want to call something kosher, I mean, it won't be kosher then.
So, okay, I think you have to take that under advisement. All right, do we have any other questions? Then we'll see you all next week, next Thursday, the 22nd. And
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.